So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to teach you all a little bit about Linux and a little bit about cybersecurity and the ways that things can go wrong when you're setting up a server on the internet. So here's the thing, right? When you go online, hold on, let me share my screen over here. Whoops. Okay, so let me actually put this over there. So when you go to Google and you look up a server, like let's say WordPress, right? I go to WordPress.com. Most of you might think, oh, computers. Yeah, I'm good with computers, Windows computers, Mac. But some of you might not be familiar with, oh, Eduardo, you can't hear me. Does everyone else hear me? Yes. Okay, so whoever was having an issue with the audio, Eduardo, sorry, I think I said Ricardo. Eduardo, you might want to refresh. And if you guys are not on Chrome, you might want to use a Chrome browser. So basically, what you guys might not be aware of is that when you go online, you can open this up by pressing F12 on your keyboard. When you go on any website, you can see the actual source code of the website. And so when you visit a website on your browser and you press F12, you'll get all these different things. This is the raw HTML code of the actual web page, WordPress.com. It's completely open. And so logically, the important information like people's passwords and usernames and home addresses, it's not going to be downloaded to my browser every time I connect to this server that's sending me this website. No, what happens instead is it's all stored in a database. So there's this section over here. Where is it's a network. So if you go and you refresh and you're in this network tab and you have pressed F12 on your keyboard, you can look at all the different requests that your browser is making. And so I just wanted to let you guys know, whoops, I don't know what that's about, but if you go to headers, over here, usually you can see what kind of server is running on this computer. And so the server header is, you guys don't really have to understand this too well, but basically every time that you connect to a website, you're using the HTTP or HTTPS protocol. The S just means it's secure. It uses encryption. And so every time that you do that, you can go into the network tab, and then you can go and click on one of the requests that your browser makes, and you can see, oh, look at that. This website actually is running off of Nginx. And so you might be wondering, well, what the heck is Nginx? And Nginx is actually let me go into Wikipedia so you guys could see. Nginx is it is available in a lot of different operating systems, but it's mainly used as a load balancer, but more importantly, as a web server. It's a web server that can provide you with information like HTML and CSS and JavaScript, and sometimes it even supports all this other crazy stuff that gets rendered server side like PHP. But let me not bore you with the details. Let me get to what's interesting about this. So you see, Nginx and almost every site on the internet, Nginx is running off of Linux, and almost every site on the internet is actually running on Linux. So it might come to you as a surprise that the majority of the computers that you're connecting to, when you open up an app on your phone and you're downloading some data, or you connect to a website that you like, what's actually happening is you're connecting to something called a Linux server almost every time. And Linux is an operating system that's really good at basically just doing a lot of response to request services, handling pretty much almost any workload necessary, because it doesn't even run a desktop on servers. Linux is designed on servers to be really quick and very efficient. And so today we're going to be hacking some of these types of Linux servers. But well, when I say hacking, that's kind of pushing it, because this is a beginner workshop, and I'm just going to be teaching you more or less how they work and how to take advantage of some of the flaws and the ways that they can be configured. So, okay, I am so sorry. Thanks for letting me know. I would want people to let me know if the text is small and hard to read. So please do inform me if you are having a hard time seeing what I'm doing. But okay, is anyone here using a Mac? I would presume a good quarter of people, or maybe even half, are using a Mac. Okay, so on Mac, what you're going to want to do is you're going to open up your Launchpad, your apps, and you're going to open up the terminal. And it's going to be exactly the same for you. And as for, yes, okay. If you are seeing my screen small, you can double click it. So let me do this actually. Normally it looks like this. You see how it says here, click twice to maximize the video, double click, and it gets bigger, and that will help you. It does not make it that much bigger, unfortunately. Is there a way to full screen this? No, unfortunately, that is as big as it gets. So I will try to make this very large text. And yes, if you do F11, you can full screen to get a better view, but it's not going to help that much. That's as big as it gets. So I'll just try to make it easy for you. If you are a Mac user, you're going to want to open up your terminal. And so basically, if you just do command space, type in terminal, that'll open up the terminal for you. If there's anyone in the chat who has a hard time following instructions, who's not understanding those instructions, or like they are kind of complicated if you're new to this, just let me know. Ask me, please. Hey, I don't understand how to open up my terminal. Everyone on Mac with me? Cool. Okay, I'm not getting any no's. So on Windows, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to press the Windows key or open up the start menu, type in PowerShell, like this, right? And then you're going to want to open that up. And let me make that much bigger. So you can actually zoom in by holding the Control button on your keyboard and then scrolling. Can everyone read this? Oof. Okay. I guess that's not going to work. So basically, I'm going to just give you a run through here. This website is Over the Wire, and Over the Wire has just run PowerShell. You don't need to do anything crazy. Normally, you don't need to have anything installed. Just follow along, and I'm going to be very specific with everything that you need to do. So basically, here's what I'm going to be going over. Over the Wire has a bunch of war games where basically you hack and use cybersecurity skills in order to get past levels in a challenge. So there's a bunch of different challenges, and I'm just going to go over the first war game challenge called Bandit. And so they have a bunch of different levels. They make it really easy for you, and I'm even going to help you along in solving the first couple of challenges. So here's what we're going to do. This is pretty cool. What you do is you go to level 0, and let's pretend for a second, guys, right, that you're on the internet, right, and you come across a web server, right, or a friend tells you, hey man, there's a server I found, and here's the domain, but I don't know how to get into it, but I found this website somewhere where like this is the username, right, and this is the password, but I'm not really good at computers, so here, have this information, go and like try to like do whatever you want. And so just trying to set the scene here, these levels are going to like basically tell you exactly what you need to know in order to solve them. So here you're going to need to know SSH. And here's the thing, guys. As a professional cloud engineer, and whenever I do cybersecurity and hacking, I'm always Googling. Like, there is never a day that goes by where I don't Google at least 10 different things about computers, programming, servers, you name it, because it's impossible to memorize a lot of things. Even at my job and at every job that I've ever worked on, everyone that I've ever worked with is always Googling things. It's perfectly normal. Don't feel ashamed. You're not cheating if you Google these things. Googling is encouraged. So I'm going to Google SSH. And SSH is a cryptographic network protocol for operating network services securely over an unsecured network. Now, what that basically means is, let me try to find you a good graphic here because this is pretty cool. You are on your laptop and you're going to connect to this server, right? So what SSH is basically you're going to like be communicating to the server, but how do you do that? Well, your computer gets a key and sends a key to the server, and then you both have a key that only the other machine would know. And okay, so I'm not going to get too into it at encryption and all that, but basically the way that it works is, imagine that let me not get too into it, but imagine that you have a little private key, right? This private key is kind of like the actual key that lets you unlock messages meant for you. And this public key, this is the public key that is actually more like a lock. So imagine this like a lock. And then this server is giving you its lock, and it has a private key that is connected to that lock, right? So this lock can only be, you can lock anything you want with this key. You can lock any information you want with this. And the only person in the world, out of all the computers that exist, that would be able to unlock the information encoded with this key, encrypted with this lock, is this server, because it has a uniquely randomly generated private key. And so imagine that you're communicating to the server and it sends you a lock, its public key. And I use that lock and I want to send it hello. All right, so I'm going to take its lock, I'm going to encrypt it, and it becomes nonsense. And then I send it over. And even if someone was in the middle here observing the communication, they don't have this private key, so they can't unlock it. But this server does. And so that's basically how private keys and public keys work. That's how SSH makes your communication channel secure. You both change locks, aka public keys, but you both have private keys that are the only things that can unlock the things that are encrypted with the public key that you hand out to people. So I hand out this public key to people, like the server, and it takes that public key, it locks stuff, sends it back, and I'm the only person who can unlock that stuff. So if you see this, you won't be able to figure out what it means, but I will. So that's how that works. So how the heck do I actually use this to communicate to this server? Okay, so here's how it works. Whether you're on Linux or whether you're on, whether you're on Mac or whether you're on Windows or whatever, it's all going to be the same. But if you run into problems, please let me know. Basically, what you're going to want to do is you're going to type in, you're going to want to go to level 0 over here, and I'm just going to link that one more time. And what we're first going to do is we're going to do SSH, right, -- help. And so this is a very common thing. When you don't know how a command works, you type in -- help, and it tells you all this crazy stuff. But don't panic. This is actually really simple, even though it looks like a lot of information. What we want to do is we want to pay attention to these brackets. That means that those are optional things that you can use in your command. So SSH, and then optionally, I can do one of these commands. But what I'm going to focus on right now is just getting past this first level. So I want you guys to try and follow along if you can. SSH, and I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it by right-clicking on Windows. And on Mac, you can just do Command V, I believe, on terminal. So on Mac, you can just do Command V. So If you use the left and right arrow keys, you can move around and actually edit your command. So you can do space, and then you can do backspace, and you can move around here and edit your command. So one of the things that we want to add here to the beginning is we're not just going to connect to the server. We're going to connect to the server pretending that we are bandit 0 at the server. So this is kind of like where the whole concept of like a username at something comes from. This is where the concept of email, the convention of where email names came from. This is how emails, the structure of like someone's, the part before the email address and the part after the email address came about. It was inherited from Linux servers and how people would run email servers on their Linux machines. So the other thing that we want to do is the port here that we're going to connect to is 2220. So we're going to specify P 2220, and that's an optional thing. Usually you connect to SSH machines using port 22, but here we're using port 2220. So just to share with you a piece of information that you might not be aware of, if you go to Google, what you're actually doing is you're going to Google at port 443, because HTTPS is by default, it's going to assume that you're using port 443. And you see how it gets removed when I hit enter? And if I do port 80 and I remove this S, it's going to take me to HTTP. And that's because for HTTP, the default port is port 80. Now, you can run a web server on a different port, like port 8080. And the people here who are web developers might be familiar with that, because they will be running web servers on their local machine on a different port, and it won't go away when you try using that port. But Google doesn't run anything on 8080, so that's just not going to give us a response. But anyhow, here we're using a specific port to connect to the server. And when I hit enter here, it's going to ask me for a password. And the password is bandit0. And it says right here, bandit0 is the password. And the username is bandit0. So just to be clear, this is the username that comes before the @ sign. This is the server you're connecting to. And this is the port. And so that's how you establish a secure shell communication to a server. So let me just go over some of these things. This is Over the Wire. It's a war game. And we're on level 0 of Bandit. And so the username that you use to connect to your level will be based off of what level you're in. So Bandit 0 for the 0 level, Bandit 1 for level 1, Bandit 2 for level 2, and so on. Also important to remember is that this is a folder that will have information in it. This folder in specific is very important. It has the passwords that you're going to be using to communicate, to grab the password for the current level you're on. So I'll get into that later. This is basically talking about more advanced stuff that you'll get into later in other war games and in the later levels. There are currently 34 levels on Bandit. We're only going to do the first couple because I don't want to make it too easy for everyone to just get past the first couple of levels. I do want it to be a little bit challenging, but I'm going to help you out with the first couple of levels and guiding you through it. Connection closed by host. So make sure that your command looks like this, Maria. The password is all the information is right here. This will always give you all the information you need. So the password is bandit0. It's in bold. So you're actually connecting to the server, and what's happening is it's telling you, okay, please play nice. Don't leave programs running in the background. Don't leave exploits, which are basically exploits are files that you use to hack vulnerabilities. Don't be annoying to other people. Don't just delete their files when they copy them onto the server, because you're going to be seeing other people trying to solve this challenges at the same time as you are. So don't post passwords or spoilers. Don't make it easy for other people who are trying to solve the challenge. And what else? It's telling you that there are a bunch of security features that have been turned off. And so later on, when you get into hacking actual programs running on this server, and you're like supposed to not be able to do things for programs that are running by another user like the admin, and you're logged in as a regular user, you're going to be able to exploit and hack into and take advantage of software that is running. If you keep on learning with Bandit, they teach you everything you need to know, and they make it very easy for you. And so I'm not going to spend too much more time talking about the nature of this, but it's just basically you're here, right? And so you're in level 0, you're in, you did it. All right. So to go from level 0 to level 1, what you do is, let's read the guide here. The password for the next level is stored in a file called readme, located in the home directory. Use this password to log into Bandit 1 using SSH. So what we're going to do is, first off, we're going to find a password in a file called readme, and it's in your home directory. And so the email that we had to use to log in. So I know that it looks like an email, but what I explained earlier was that that's where the concept of emails came from. Right. So I'm going to make it easy for you. If you're still stuck, I'm just going to paste the command into the chat, but I want you guys to try to follow along. All right. So someone has already solved it. Jakub, nice work. Yes. The commands, you may need to solve this level. Okay. So I'm just going to type every single one of these commands because I have no idea how any of this works. So I'm going to be just like you guys. If that is, you don't have experience with Linux. If you do, I'm sure you've already solved this one. But this is a very simple one. We're in the server, and we're going to type in ls, the first one. So ls is short for list. So remember, if you don't know what something does, just do this. You type in the command, and then space, 2 dashes, and then help. The space is important, and how, like, everything here is important. Space dash dash help will tell you exactly what it is. This is how you use it. ls, and then what you want at ls. But it's optional because it has square brackets around it. And what it does is it lists information about the files in the current directory. Okay? So it actually lists all the information in the current folder, and it has all these fancy things that you don't need to worry about right now because you're trying to solve this challenge. So, by the way, if you have a lot of junk on your screen, you want to type in clear, and that'll clear your screen. Clear, right? Clears the screen. All right, guys. And so some of you have already, like, far ahead. You're already even using Nano, and that's cool. I'm just trying to make it easy for everyone to follow along. So cd is a command that lets you change the current working directory. So that's basically how you move around. So ls shows you folders. cd lets you move around in folders. And then cat, this is a very interesting one. You type it in, nothing happens, right? And so if you type in cat, you're going to be like, oh no, I'm stuck, I'm frozen, I can't do anything. What's happening? What you got to do is you got to do Control-C. Control-C, or yeah, Control-C on Mac and also Control-C on Windows is going to print this out, and that's basically cancel. So Control-C is cancel, right? And then basically what you want to do is you want to type in cat dash dash help, and then cat concatenates files to standard output. So that's actually kind of hard to understand, but basically what that means is it just prints out the contents of a file. So I'm going to type in cat, and I'm going to type in readme. Oh God, guys, what does this look like? This looks like a password. Oh, okay. Let me open up another PowerShell. Ugh, you know what? Never mind. Let me just type in exit, leave, and that lets you leave here, right? So this is a password. And so on Mac, you can highlight this and then do Command-C to copy. On Windows, you can do right-click to copy. if you just highlight it, that right click, and then that lets you paste it by right clicking again if you don't have anything selected. So I'm going to do Control C, and you notice if I type in a lot of junk, you can do Control C, and that cancels what you're typing. And so that speeds up things significantly. All right. So if you right click and then you do, that'll paste stuff in, right? And if you type in stuff, Control C will like cancel so that you don't have to backspace all the way. Saves you time. And so what I'm going to do, just so that you guys understand, these commands also work on your computer. You also have a terminal open on your machine, if you haven't noticed already. So you can do ls, and I have a bunch of junk on my home directory, and I can also print out like random things like, oh, this file over here, viminfo has a bunch of junk in it. But let me not get too complicated here. Cat and ls are both commands that also work on your real machine. So, okay, back to what we were doing. I've got this password. Where do I have it? Uh-oh. Where did I? Let me try to see if I could detect the pattern. I think that's the pattern, right? That's where it starts over. Yeah. Okay. So what you can do is you can press up on your keyboard, and then down and up and down will basically let you go through the history of the commands you typed. And then you can move your cursor around with left arrows and right arrows to edit a specific line, and up and down lets you go through your history of the commands you typed. So this command over here, instead of retyping everything, I'm just going to change this to 1. And what that's going to do is that's going to let me try to log into the user 1, level 1 on this server. So I'm going to do that, right? And I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to try to log into server number 1. I'm going to try to paste in the password, and you're not going to see it if you type it in or you paste it, because it's supposed to be secure, and it's going to hide your input. So you're not going to see anything if you're typing things in here. But I'm going to right click, and that's supposed to paste the password that I had selected up here, right? I had selected the password right here, and by right clicking, I copied it. And so I'm going to hit enter, and boom, I logged in, and I'm in level 1. Whoa, okay. We've got more privileges and more permissions now to do things that we're not supposed to do. Okay, so this is a cool command. If you type in who am I, that tells you that you're bandit 1. And so that means that you've leveled up and you are now in level 1. So let's go from level 1 to level 2. And so basically, now I'm in level 1. And I'm going to try to get to level 2 now. I'm going to try to get more permissions. So the password, here's a goal, right? This is what you're supposed to do. And then here's the tips and tricks that you might need, the commands you might need. And then here is some advice if you get really stuck. But don't forget, you're always supposed to be Googling stuff. Nobody expects you to even memorize how some of this stuff works, even after you have years of experience. So the password for the next level is stored in a file called dash, located in the home directory. The home directory. Okay, so you guys might not be aware of this, but if you see this, it's kind of hard to see it, but this is a squiggly. So that squiggly means that you are in your home directory. And so just keep that in mind. That squiggly means that you are, whoa, what happened here? Okay, that squiggly means that you are in your home directory. So here's an interesting command for you guys. Type it in and see what you get. You should be getting the same thing. pwd will show you what directory you're in. So, we're inside of /home /bandit1. This is familiar to most of you if you've noticed when you go to your desktop, for example, or yeah, let me go over to a random folder here, code. You see, this is very similar to the way that Windows and Mac structure their directories. The slash is backwards on Linux and on Macs. But on Windows, it's this type of slash. Just keep in mind, this is a slash that's next to the shift. It's not the slash that's hard to reach. It's a slash that's on the bottom, right? So this is the easy slash. This is a difficult slash that you have to reach with your pinky. Well, you have to reach both with your pinky, but case in point, it's easier to use this one. So this is like the code folder on my desktop. But if I delete that and then I hit enter, it takes me to my desktop. And here's all the stuff on my desktop. And if I delete that, I go into my users folder. But if I delete this, I go into my users folder. And in my users folder, this is a very similar thing to what this is, right? You're just not seeing what disk you have, because on Linux, your disk, you don't have one disk. You can have a disk mounted into any folder you want. So it's kind of more loosey-goosey when it comes to that sort of thing. All right, so let's try to like do something a little dumb. Let's try to go into this folder. I want to step out of here and I want to go up into this folder. So I want to just go into home, right? Okay, I'm in home. Let me try to see what happens when I type in ls. Look at all the people here. Look at all these different user accounts I can hack into. So I was logged into Bandit 0. Let's try to look inside of Bandit 0 just for fun. Okay. And so Bandit 0 has that README. So if I do Bandit 0, and by the way, really important thing to keep in mind, autocomplete with tab. Use it. And then I'm going to press tab again, and it's going to autocomplete the slash for me. And I'm going to do read and then press tab again. And it's going to autocomplete to README. And here's the password for level 0. Wow. So it looks like when you are in level 1, you can read level 0's folders. And that's how it works for everything. Once you get to level 2, you can read level 1 and level 0's folders. So you can always do anything you want with the lower levels when you get to the higher levels. All right. So I'm going to go back to the squiggly, or the same thing as this. If I go into Bandit 1, it'll take me back to squiggly. If you do CD squiggly, and this is actually the tilde. This is right next to the 1. You have to do Shift 1 on most, Shift squiggly on most keyboards. And oh, great question. Can we go into /bandit 2? We can go into Bandit 2. Okay. Let's try to look at what's inside of here. Spaces in this file name? Huh? Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, let's look at what's in Bandit 1. All right, so inside of Bandit 1, there is this. All right, so let's try to see what that is. Nothing's happening. So this is actually a very common problem, right? I can't print this file out. I wonder why. Maybe it's because it's a dash, right? Maybe that's like a special thing. Maybe that's important. So let me do a different command. Let me do file. Maybe that'll help. I don't know what file does, but I'm just going to type it and do file dash. That also doesn't work. First, let me figure out, what does file even do? File help. Determine the type of a file. Okay. So someone has already seemed to solve the problem. They're saying, do this. And yes, that is the solution. But what if you didn't know how to do that? What if you didn't know that you could just do cat.// for these special kind of files? Right, you would Google it. Right. So what I was going to say was, why can't I cat a file with dash in its name? And literally, guys, this is what you are supposed to do. You're supposed to figure out what the problem is and why you can't do this. So you have said that this is a question trying to figure out blah 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 blah. No one's giving me the answer. Blah 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 blah. The hyphen is a special character. Blah blah blah. You can do cat dot slash my file name. So I'll tell you what that actually is doing. So if we go back into home slash bandit 0 and you do cat readme, you are printing out the readme file. Now, if you do this, so you could do cd dot dot, and that'll actually take you up into the higher level. So you don't have to do cd home if you're in bandit 0 or if in one of the bandit folders. What you could do is you could do cd dot dot to go up a level. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do slash bandit 0. Sorry. Got to do bandit 0 slash readme, right? And so what I'm doing here is I'm printing the file out even though I'm in a different folder. So I'm saying, okay, inside of this folder, print out the contents of this file, right? And I might be going a little bit slow for some of the people who are more experienced, but I'm just trying to like make sure everyone's on the same page. So basically, when you do this, you're specifying what folder you're in, right? But if you're inside of bandit 0, oops, cd bandit 0, and you do ls -a, this is important, it'll show you all, even the hidden files. So it turns out that there are hidden files. Every file that starts with a dot becomes a hidden file. And this will become important later. But there are two types of special things that you can do inside of every folder in Linux. In every folder in Linux, you will always have a file called dot and dot dot. Dot dot, as you already know, if you go inside of dot dot, dot dot is kind of like actually a pointer to the parent folder, home. And then if I go back into bandit 0, dot is actually, if I type in file readme, that tells me, okay, readme is just a regular ASCII text file. That's what file does. It tells you what a file is, what kind of file it is. And if you do, I'm reading the chat here, so I'm actually a little bit distracted. If you do file dot, and then you do slash, all that really means is inside of this folder, find me a file with this exact name. And so that gets around the issue of having a file with a dash. Because in reality, when you do a dash, what's happening is that you're taking the input of the terminal and you're printing it out, right? So if I do dash, cat dash, and I do hello, what it does is it takes the input and then it prints it out, which is what cat does again. So that's kind of pointless. I don't want to do that. What I want to do is I'm going to go into bandit 1. I'm going to go into the parent folder, home, and then from home, I'm going to go into bandit 1. And I'm going to do cat dot slash. And if you press tab 2 times, you're going to see all the files in this folder, even the hidden ones. So this is why it's helpful to start typing out dot slash sometimes. Because if you do tab twice, you can see everything in the folder, even the hidden files, without having to do ls -a. So it's very handy dandy. Cool. So what was the command again? Dot slash dash. And here's the password, guys. Okay, let's go to level 2. Let's go to level 2. I'm going to exit. I'm going to press up to reverse to go back to my previous command. I'm going to go back here and change this to 2. Oops. Make sure you don't have typos. So remember, on Windows, highlight, right-click, that copies it. Right-click to paste. And you're not going to see the input. Same with Mac, Command C to copy, Command V to paste what you select in Mac. And boom, you are in level 2. Very cool. All right, so how do we get to level 3? This is something that we were looking at a minute ago. Spaces in the file name. All right, very cash money. Let's see what that's about. You can type in clear, or if you want to, you can actually do Control L, and that'll clear the terminal for you. On Mac, it is Command L, depending on the terminal you're using. If you're using the main terminal, it's Command L. Right, tab your way through. That's right. That makes it so much easier to type in stuff. So that can help in this challenge. The password for the next level is stored in a file called spaces in this file name. So if I were to just try to do spaces, so first let me see, ls, okay, spaces in this file name. So is this one file and then another file and then another file and then another file? Is it trying to trick me? And you could tell by doing ls-l, and that makes everything get printed out into a list. And so let me actually do this. ls-la will print out all of the files in this folder that are even the hidden ones in a list format. So that prints them out vertically. Check it out. Dot, which is this folder, the parent folder, and then a couple of hidden folders, hidden files. You can tell if something is a folder by seeing whether it has a D for directory. And if it doesn't, if it just has a dash here, when you do -LA, the dash in the first column here means that it is, you don't have to worry about all this stuff. This is about permissions, and this is like who owns the file. This right here means, is it a folder or is it a file or is it something else? So this means it's just a regular file. This means it's a folder, it's a directory. So this is a parent folder, this is a current folder. And this is one file called spaces in this file name. So if I tried to do spaces in this, I could even make it easier on myself. Highlight it, copy, paste. It doesn't work. It tries to print out each one of these as if they were different files. So what you actually need to do, let's try putting them around in quote spaces in this file name. And that works. But also, if you were following along with what I told you and just use tab, it also does this, where it puts the backslash, the backslash here, not the forward slash, because this is supposed to say this is for like, oh, a folder, but this is to escape. This is a backslash. This makes the terminal think, oh, okay, this is going to be an actual part of the name, not some special character. And that also works. So this is the next one, right? That's level 3's password. And so I'm going to go to level 3. All right. I'm going to exit here. All right, guys, we're making progress. Is anyone getting stuck or confused? Anyone have any questions? We have 15 minutes left. Anyone have any questions? No questions? Okay, dudes. All right. All right, so level 3, I'm going to do Control L to clear my terminal. I'm going to hit Enter. I'm going to hit right click because I copied the password already, and I am in. Awesome, guys. So level 4, we're on level 3. Let's do Who Am I to see who we are. Cool. So this is our username now. We are on level 3. And if we were to do home, if we were to try to print out the contents of home, we see that there's still people, there's still all these accounts instead of home, but now we can do things in all the previous levels, like in Bandit 2. You can press tab twice here. And we can see all the things inside of Bandit 2. And if I start typing in Spay and I just press tab again, it's like completely automatic, guys. You press enter and it tells you the password to like the previous level you were in if you ever need it. It's really cool because as you level up, you have still access to all the previous levels you were previously in. Okay. Password for this next level is stored in a hidden file in the in here directory. Okay. So ls. Okay, there's a folder called in here. I'm going to go inside of in here. All right, I'm in the folder called in here, which is inside of my home directory. I'm going to do ls. I don't see anything. And there's already someone who's gone far ahead and already done ls-a. ls-a is enough, but ls-la makes it in this nice list format. If you do just -a, it shows you all the hidden files. And there's a file called hidden here. I'm going to print it out. Boom. Here we are. The next level. Awesome. This is the password for level 4, probably. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go up. I'm going to go to level 4. Let you guys follow along here. So the -a, and I can actually show you this on Windows. If you do, actually, Delver, that doesn't work on all Linux, but it works on some Linux. And I do prefer that because that makes it print out in list form. So if you do this, you get, well, okay, actually on Windows, it looks like you cannot do that. But let's go to level 4. I'm gonna log into level 4 with that password that we got from level 3, and boom, here we are. We are in level 4. All right. So just to reiterate, -a prints out the hidden files. A is for all. That's how you remember it. Just ls prints out the files in regular folders. Yes, it does. My bad. It does not work on PowerShell, but if you SSH into Bandit, that it will. For Linux, is there a key to move the command line? Yes. So imagine you're typing a bunch of stuff and you have to like move your cursor all the way to the beginning or all the way to the end. The quickest way to do that is actually to do home and end. So home and end will take you to the beginning and the end. So if you're on Mac, you do FN and then left arrow and right arrow on Mac. Yeah, it's very much better, much better. Also, another thing that might be handy for some of you, some of you folks on Mac might actually benefit from this. If you do command delete or if you do control delete, you can actually delete entire words at a time, and that might save you time, but only on Mac. Okay. So level 4, what do we do here? The password for the next level is stored. Okay, so on level 4, we're going to go to level 5 now. The password for the next level is stored in the only human readable file in the in here directory. Tip. If your terminal is messed up, try the reset command. Okay, cool. So this is interesting. Let's see what this is about. I'm going to type in ls, and there is it says that I have to go inside of this folder here called in here. What's inside of this folder? There's 10 different files here. Huh, interesting. All right, so what's this about? And it displays all of them. Okay, so all these are different files. Let's take a look and see what's inside of file /file 000. And so you guys are going to run into this problem, and that's why I did this on purpose. if you recall, if you have a dash here, you have to do //file00. Have a good night, Daniel. Thanks for coming. And that'll print out a bunch of random junk. And you're like, huh, what the heck is that? So if you do ls, you're going to see all the files. And so just to reiterate, ls prints all the files. And then if you do this, you get this junk. And so you might be wondering, what the heck is this junk? So if you do file./-file00, that'll tell you what it is. It is a data file. So that means that it is raw data. I'm going to show you guys something really cool. I'm going to do something kind of advanced so that you guys don't get freaked out by this, but this is kind of advanced. There's this command called xxd. No, that is not supposed to be xd like the face. It's supposed to be for seeing hexadecimal data. And /-file00 shows you the raw binary values of well, not binary, but hexadecimal, because binary would be even more complicated. But this is hexadecimal versions of this data. And a bunch of this is like completely unreadable. And the fact that when you type in file and then the name of the file and then it tells you data means it isn't readable ASCII text. So you could go out of your way, and what it's expected of you is actually that you do -file01, file02, file03, file04, and if you keep pressing up, this is going to be actually very quick for you. Press 6, press 7, and boom, we found it. This is the one that has actual text and doesn't look like a bunch of nonsense binary data. And how you could check is by doing file./-07. This has actual ASCII text. So this is the one. This is the password for the next level. So guys, I'm going to help you get on level 5. I'm going to ask the crowd now if you guys can help me solve this one. All right. So I'm going to go on level 5. And I'm going to let some of you catch up here. But I'm also going to ask that you guys help me here, because I don't know how to solve this one. So if you do ls-h, so if you do ls-l, let me actually backtrack here and go back to Bandit 4 in that folder that we were looking at a second ago. Since I'm logged in as 5, I can look at the stuff inside of the home directory in level 4. So I can look at other people's stuff. And yes, so that is actually another option. You can do file star. And what star does is it's a wildcard, and it'll do all the stuff in that folder. And you can see that file 07 was the one that we wanted to look at. So if you do star, that actually is much easier. But I wanted to show you guys how you could have solved it without knowing that, without having Googled anything, just using prior knowledge. So if you do ls, this folder, you get all this stuff. But if you do ls-l in a folder, you get everything in a list format. If you do ls-lh, well, all of these are kind of small, but typically that'll show you like the number of bytes raw. And if the number is really big, you're just going to see a bunch of bytes. So this is kind of like, this kind of ties into like, okay, I am on a server right now, guys. I am on an actual server, right? And so if you do df, you could see all the actual hard drives mapped onto the server. So the hard drive for this is mapped into /. The hard drive for the boot directory is mapped into here. And this is all very Linux specific. But if we do DH-H, it turns all these bytes into readable, human readable, understandable 2 gigabytes, 394 megabytes. Like, this is easier to read than just, oh yeah, I know exactly what this is. This is 2 gigabytes. Oh yeah, this? Oh, yeah, that's 19 gigabytes. It's like, no one's going to be able to tell. So obviously you want to use -H to make it human readable. And if you're ever confused about how command works, you do --help to get specific advice on how to use this command. So df shows you all the information about the file system on which all the files are in, and or like so for per file you could actually do df and then a file, and it'll tell you the information about the file, or also the entire OS. So does anyone have the solution for this one? Because I want to get to level 6 here. So the password for the next level is stored in a file somewhere in the here directory and has all the following properties. So I'm going to go into in here. And this one is pretty hard. They made this one kind of hard on purpose. There's all this junk here. There's all this nonsense. Okay, so I'm seeing someone doing very interesting things. There's something called, if I do the ls-l and I scroll up and I read a little bit here, this is recursive. List directories recursively. So you might have seen this before on Windows. If you go to your C drive on Windows, then you do tree, you get all, oh, it's like, oh my God, I'm hacking, bro, watch out, whoa. You actually get a tree format of all the files inside of your hard drive, instead of your C drive. And so in Linux, the way that you do that is you do ls-r, and I'm going to also do LA, not just to look at all the I'm going to do just R. I'm going to do just R. And if I do just R, I get all the files inside of every one of these folders. And that's what ls-r does. It not only lists all the files, but it lists all the things inside of them too. And then if you do ls-la as well, it'll tell you a little bit of information about each one of these. And so that's very, very useful, because now I don't have to go through every single one to get a bit of information. Like, I could tell, okay, this file has that many bytes. This file has that many bytes. And okay, so this is going to start getting confusing. But if you do capital R for recursive, L for list format, A for all, so that you see the hidden ones, and H for human readable, you can get the exact size of each one of these. Okay. I'm not going to keep you guys around here, but this is going to start to get really interesting. So I recommend you guys all keep going. You keep solving these. And I am going to be mentoring. So if you guys want to keep solving these and you want some tips and advice, I will be in Discord. And you can always DM me and you can hit me up. But thank you all for coming. And I really appreciate all your time. And happy hacking, guys. Not just hacking on your projects, but also hacking into these servers. And if you can get past level 20, please let me know, because this is where it starts to get into some very nice, very cool advanced stuff where you control background programs running. You start manipulating the processes that are in the background. You start to be able to write scripts that automate things for you. You start to communicate with servers using Netcat, which is a very cool command. I'm just going to show it to you really quick here on Linux subsystem. So I'm going to open up, oops. I'm just going to show you something really cool that I always fanboy over this. But if you do Netcat, it's basically this tool that lets you do, oops. I guess it doesn't have a help. But if you do listen on port 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I guess I don't have it. Oops. I'm not even reading the error here. Let me open up a different thing. So this is really cool tool. I just want to show you guys that if you want to stick around, Netcat -- help will show you but basically I'm going to listen on port. I'm going to listen on port 12345, and I get this firewall thing. This isn't going to work for you guys. This is just a Linux thing, but I just wanted to show you guys that this is a really cool thing you could do on Linux, where if you connect to localhost, which is basically, if any of you know a little bit about networking, localhost translates to this. And on every computer that exists, 127.0.0.1 is your local address. And so you specify the address you want to connect to, and then the port 12345. And now I am in direct communication. And so if this was running, if instead of communicating to myself locally, I was communicating to a server on the internet, right? And it was listening on this specific port. Now I am secretly in communication, and we have like a two-way communication. I can do hello. Oh, well, that didn't work, actually. Let me try something here. Let me actually connect to a real server that I own. I actually own a server that's running on the cloud, and I'm gonna do Netcat. Let me not complicate this for you guys. Well, you know what? Since there are still some people here, I don't want to detract from the next workshop. No. Let me not do that. Let me not show you guys how servers communicate to each other. You'll get to that on your own time. But I know. Please, guys, check out the other workshops. We have a bunch of amazing content. Please have fun and happy hacking. Do go and yes, this video will be uploaded on YouTube. This video will be uploaded on YouTube. My username is on Discord is, well, let me just stop the recording. Oh, I guess I can't stop the recording. But well, basically I'm going to type my handle. It's going to be hard to see, but if you just do @Raphael, you'll be able to @me. Yeah, I don't know why it's kind of hard to just do @Raphael. And I'm going to be in the chat. Yeah, guys, please go to the other workshops, and I wish you the best of luck. This video will be available at the end of the hackathon after everything is over on YouTube. All workshops will be. Thank you for your time, and have fun. Happy hacking.